I'm firing up my laptop right now. If I could just like cherry pick a tofu product from M&S, and then give you like the macronutrients and the cost compared to like the calculation of the macronutrients to the cost of like chicken, for example, would you say that would be like fair?
I'd say not at all, though, because there would have to be a widespread study that's looked at all supermarkets, that's looked at the plant-based options, getting your food from the non-vegan diets and doing a price comparison. And by the way, we've already had that done by Oxford. They done a study called the Global and Regional Cost of a Healthy and Sustainable Dietary Pattern and Modeling Study. They looked at first world countries, they looked at the US, they looked at UK, and they done a direct comparison between grocery shopping price of a plant-based diet, getting all your essential nutrients, compared to getting all your essential nutrients on a non-vegan diet. And they already showed us that following a plant-based diet has been shown to be up to 33% cheaper. Any diet can be more expensive if you choose to buy premium options in the diet. No, go ahead.
It's also more bioavailable than like stuff like seitan,
What's more bioavailable?
chicken breast.
That doesn't make any sense. You need to what specific nutrient is more bioavailable in chicken
Oh,
breast?
yeah, protein. The protein is more bioavailable than seitan because chicken breast has better macros. Wait, could you state your just quickly like state your source
Yeah,
for
of
the
course.
positive claim that you made?
This was actually called the EPIC Oxford study. It's very popular. It followed over 500,000 people in total, and it showed that vegetarians had a 22% lower risk of heart disease and that vegans had a lower risk than. We have the Adventist Health study that followed 75,000 people over a 6-year period of time, and it showed that vegetarian and vegan dietary patterns were associated with a lower all-cause mortality compared with non-vegan diets. There was actually a study as well that looked at two identical twins, and it gave one a healthy omnivorous diet and one a healthy plant-based diet, and it showed that the plant-based diets were better for reducing cardiovascular disease risks. So yeah, we have tons and tons of evidence.
State your source for the positive claim that you made that like the plant based food is just going to be like just as bioavailable as chicken breast, for instance.
I never made the claim that it would be just as bioavailable as chicken breast. I said when it comes to the actual purpose of what protein is for inside the body, there's been no difference to getting it from plants compared to animals with regards to the outcome. Here's a study in 2021. It's called Plant-Based Diet Support Muscle Strength and Mass Gains in Response to Resistance Training, a randomized clinical trial. And this study, what they done was they compared vegan and omnivorous diets. They matched total protein intake. They have the same resistance training program. And the conclusion of this study was that there was no difference in muscle gain or strength when comparing getting your protein from animals' bodies and getting it from plant-based diets. So when protein intake is sufficient, the source of the protein doesn't matter when it comes to muscle growth, which was the purpose of consuming the protein.
Okay.
The reality is, bro, is again, like we can sit here and debate like semantics and talk about this, which is very interesting because I do genuinely love these discussions. But the reality is you understand that animals are sentient beings. They feel pain, they suffer, they have families. You're aware of all of this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So if we don't need to harm them, why do it just for taste pleasure?
Well, I'd say it's more like a general subjective conjunct. Yeah, the conjunct would be that I would just like subjectively value a human more than a non-human.
Yeah, so whether you value humans or animals more has absolutely no relevance to why you would be, opposed to just consuming more plant-based options. You're allowed to think humans are 1,000 times more important, 10,000 times more important, but you can still value the life of an animal enough to prioritize them over a sandwich that you don't even need, right?
Yeah, I mean, what about the bees though, dude?
But what is your concern?
Yeah, I mean, it was actually so. Just a follow up, would you consider people who claim to be vegan who eat avocados not to be vegan?
No, I wouldn't, because again, I was alluding into that point, but I'll elaborate on it why. So bees are in nature, and it's a symbiotic relationship with these avocado plants or with these other types of plants, where when they go to pick up their pollen, they pollinate plants naturally. They allow plants to sprout. That's their symbiotic relationship with nature. So the only way that it can be exploitation is if the bee has been mass transported to the region. Now the problem is as a consumer, when you're going to the supermarket, how are you going to decipher from exactly which vegetables, which crops, and which plants involved bees that specifically came from, mass transported regions compared to bees that were just naturally in the area? For us to start tracking every single binary metric in this regard, we would need CCTV cameras zoomed into every single crop in different farms to track and somehow be able to track all the bees and where they're coming from, which, as I'm sure me and you can agree as remotely intelligent people, is practically impossible. So the reality is it being vegan is about doing as much as practicable and possible. We know that when we're buying dead bodies, we know that when we're buying milk, it comes from an animal's body. It's a byproduct of an animal. We know when we're buying leather, it comes from an animal. So vegans avoid all of these things. But when it comes to things that we can't trace or track, it's about just doing what we can as much as practicable and possible to reduce suffering, which is literally the definition of veganism, by the way.
Oh, okay. I mean, I don't even eat that much meat. Clearway is just gonna objectively the best form of protein in terms of like calories to protein ratio. It's got around 85 grams of protein.
You know, the actual highest source of protein is actually, if we're looking at processed things, which is what we're talking about here, is actually plant-based source. Isolated soya protein, you can get about 80 to 90% protein per 100-gram content of food, which doubles any meat equivalent. So when we're actually talking about these kinds of protein sources, plant-based actually trumps protein content as well. So yeah, man, look, you can get higher protein. You don't need to pay for them to die. I mean, again, like, you sound like a remotely intelligent person compared to the average people that I speak to. You understand, you know, pigs have shown in studies they have advanced cognition, emotional states. We know that they can suffer. Cows show emotional states. They show subjective experiences. Chickens show cognitive and emotional complex experiences as well. And we have scientific evidence of all of this. So if you understand that animals can suffer, feel pain, have families, and they don't need to die for you to be healthy and live long, and it's also better for the planet, why not just do what's right for the planet and the animals? Why just continue paying for them to die unnecessarily?
You know, I'd probably concede for now and probably do more research on that.
I really appreciate the genuine discussion, man.